Hello, my name is Troy Ross, and I'm a real estate investor from Richmond, Virginia, and I'm here today to help you get your upside down house sold quickly, easily, and with no money out of your pocket. So what exactly is an upside down house? Well, it's a house that is worth less than what the owner currently owes on it. For example, here's a house that in today's market is only worth $150,000. Back in 2006, the owner bought the house when the market was inflated for about $210,000. Today, the owner wants to sell the house, but he's faced with a unique problem. How do you sell a house that is worth less than what is owed on it? Well, to start, he could talk with an all-cash investor. This investor could pay all cash for his house and close quickly, but there's a catch. He's only going to pay him about 65 to 70% of the fair market value. The seller would only get about $105,000 from the cash buyer. As a result, he'll have to bring about $95,000 to the closing table to make up what's owed to his lender. Another option to the seller would be he could list the house with a realtor, and given some time, the house will sell for fair market value. But now this seller must pay what is owed to the realtor and what's left on the balance of his loan, which is about $59,000 in total. Yet another option for the seller is a short sale. A short sale is a sale whereby the bank will allow a buyer to come in and buy the house for less than what is owed on it. But the problem here is that banks are now going after homeowners for the deficiencies that are left over after such sales take place. Typically, the very last option to many sellers is a foreclosure. This is when the bank either takes the house back via foreclosure process or the owner simply gives them the keys. A foreclosure is the atomic bomb of all credit hits. On top of that, the bank could pursue a deficiency judgment and force you to pay what is owed after the house is resold. And that action may even force you to file bankruptcy so you can have some protection and some relief. For most sellers, this is the absolute worst option. But what if there was another way out? What if you could find a way to get out from underneath the payments? What if you could get the house sold without coming out of pocket with any of your own money? Well, there is another way out, and here's what I can offer you. I can offer to buy your house for what you owe on it, even if that amount is higher than what your house is worth, and you won't have to pay any commissions or make any repairs. And here's how it works. You and I could come to an agreement in writing stating that at closing the ownership of the house would go to me in exchange for me taking over your payments. It's possible that I may resell the house to a retail buyer or sell it on a rent-to-own basis, and it's even possible I may only offer it for rent. However, my primary objective is to refinance the house within the next 3 to 5 years and pay off your original loan. Now, I'm going to address the most common concerns sellers have in this particular type of transaction. One concern to this type of sale is that the original owner remains liable for the original loan that is left in place. But the fact is, many buyers today want to buy your home because it already has financing. To make that happen, the existing loan must remain in place. And since it comes with financing, your home suddenly becomes more valuable than any other home on the market in your area. Another concern that a lot of sellers have is, what if the buyer quits paying for the house? Well, although the end buyer has a verifiable income and although they will be buying the home as their own, there's a possibility that maybe one day they could default. No one can see in the future, and life events can always bring hardships. However, should that occur, I will begin the foreclosure process with my attorney to recover the house in order to get a new buyer in place as quickly as possible. But in the meantime, I will continue to make the payments on the house. Another common question that sellers have for me is, how will I know that you're making the payments? Well, we've come up with a solution to that particular problem, and we now use a third-party escrow company that collects payments from me each and every month and pays your lender directly. If I don't make the payment, the escrow agent notifies you immediately, so you're always in the loop. A final concern that a lot of sellers have is, what if the bank calls the loan due because the house was technically sold? Well, it's true all mortgages today contain an acceleration clause called a due on sale clause, which basically allows the lender to call a loan due if ownership of a property is changed. Now, although it is possible that the bank may call the loan due because the ownership has changed, it's highly unlikely. And here's why. As long as a loan is paid on time and remains current, it's said to be performing. Now, my experience is that banks have no interest in calling loans due that are being paid on time, and the reason is simply profit. It costs money in legal fees to foreclose on a house, and the lender would rather get paid than to have yet another non-performing loan on its books. It's also interesting to note that when a lender is taking back a property by calling a loan due, the federal government penalizes the lending institution for having a non-performing loan. As a result, the government will not allow that institution to loan out 8 times the bad debt amount. For example, if the bank took back a property with a $100,000 note on it, it could no longer lend $800,000 to anyone as a penalty. And with FHA insured loans, the lender is required to first get permission from HUD to call the loan due. To date, HUD has not given any lenders such permission. So you might be asking, what's next? Well, first we would need to gather and sign all the necessary paperwork, and then I can begin to market the house. Within the next couple of weeks, I will show the house to all of the interested buyers. Typically this is done at one time on a Saturday morning, and depending on the results of the open house, I will select a buyer. 45 to 60 days from the date that we sign the agreement, the closing will occur and the buyer will move into the house. And at that time, I will begin to make payments on your loan while the buyer pays me each month. In 3 to 5 years or sooner, the buyer should refinance the house, paying off your original mortgage. So the benefits here are obviously incredible for the seller. This particular transaction is fast, and the seller gets to sell the underwater house without paying a realtor or closing costs, and they don't even need to make any repairs. As an added bonus, the seller is going to be able to avoid a credit-damaging short sale or foreclosure. Self-help author Tony Robbins said, "The path to success is to take massive, determined action." I encourage you to get the peace of mind you need right now. Call me today at 804-657-SALE. That's 804-657-7253. My name is Troy Ross with 2011 Properties, and I look forward to helping you soon. Thanks for watching.